folks, my name is Ryan and I'm with the channel Overlord Shiny. Today we're going to talk about the Hedonites of Slaanesh and our very first faction rollout. Stick along and let's see what they're releasing. Alright, now for those of you who don't know, the Hedonites of Slaanesh, or Hedonites as I'll call them from now on in this video because that is just a mouthful, is that they got a release back in 2019 where they had several great kits come out, but the big critique of that or complaint was that even though Slaanesh got updated, they didn't get any new mortal units. Games Workshop heard loud and clear, and that's exactly what we're getting this time around. Gone are any sort of model releases for the demon portion of the Hedonites. Now it's time for the humans. Now, one of the big things we will talk about is that there are two hero units, and one of them is actually a returning villain from the world that was. Back in Fantasy Warhammer, they had a hero unit known as Sigvald the Magnificent. He was arrogant, he was kind of entitled, but he was a light, so to speak, within the armies of chaos because he actually looked normal. He looked like your typical hero. He looked like a sort of antithesis to what would be a spiky boy or warrior of chaos. That was Sigvald. During the end times, he got brutally killed and then was proceeded to be used by a very angry chaos troll as a latrine. Everybody laughed, everybody slow clapped, things were great. Sigvald is back for round 2 and hopefully a little bit more prepared for fighting trolls because now he's going after Nagash for some reason. We don't really know why just yet, but I'm pretty sure there's a story element that we're going to read about that puts him and Nagash into conflict with each other. Personally, my money's on Nagash. The second hero we're getting is brand new. His name is Glutos or Scullion. Now, Glutos is a gluttonous fellow, which is a side of Slaanesh we really don't see emphasized so much. But hey, I'm American. I know what it's like to like food excessively. All kidding aside, you look at this kit, it is awesome. Fantastic. Love the design. I love the sort of embellishments of this new character, and he's clearly a bad guy. He's not some merchant. He's not someone who could pass himself off as just a passerby. I mean, the tentacles aren't telling you the story. The whips and the giant spiky bits and the crab hands and the third horn and the snakes. Yeah, this is one bad mamma jamma. And I gotta say, I really like that Games Workshop is starting to do these centerpiece models that are almost like a diorama of sorts. We saw this with Catacross, and I'm hoping we see this a lot more from now on. Not just in Age of Sigmar, but 40K could use some of that creativity and love. Now, those are the two heroes we're getting, or at least our two named heroes. After that, we are getting the Lord of Pain. Now, the Lord of Pain we've seen already in a previous box set called Shadows in Pain, where the Lord of Pain faced off against the Daughters of Cain. So much rhyming. The Daughters of Cain new hero unit. The Iron Scale. It's a new type of Naga character for the Daughters of Cain faction. So with those two guys fighting off with each other is a nice preview of what we're going to get for the Hedonites. Following that, we have another clamshell pack of the Shard Speaker. And this was advertised or revealed earlier in the year, where they brought this character up after unveiling some of the previous releases. And again, we are seeing a lot of the new updated design elements that exemplify the Hedonites. For one, they have these spiky asymmetrical pauldron with a tilting plate with the symbol of Slaanesh on it, and that's sort of just repeated throughout the whole entire faction. The other thing we're seeing is a repeat of the motif of the mirror, which is interesting if you think about it, because they also have some of that stuff in the Daughters of Cain faction. For those of you who are not familiar with the relationship the Daughters of Cain and the Hedonites of Slaanesh have, they're kind of intertwined with each other in the sense that when Morathi escaped from Slaanesh's belly, she was transformed. She had winged harpy-like features and a lower body that was more Naga-like. So the elements behind that, you look at the altar, one of the builds is a giant mirror for this Medusa character. So she can kind of like Medusa eyeball laser people all around, right? That was introduced back in the age of that was, or the world that was, excuse me. But in Age of Sigmar, that's a different thing altogether because these two factions hate each other with a purple Slaaneshi passion. Just, they cannot stand each other. So to see there's a mirror element repeated across and the snake element in Glutos, it kind of ties those two factions together very nicely. Following that, we have the up-armored Mirmadesh and Simbaresh units. Now, these are very interesting because unlike the rest of the faction, they're actually wearing a lot of armor. And the Mirmadesh in particular are my definite favorites of this release. They have armor everywhere. I mean, that's really all I could say about that. But you can see the design motif, the pauldrons, the spikes, the faces seem to be a thing. Now, for those of you who are familiar with World That Was, there was a follower of Khorne who was commonly known as the Bride of Khorne. And her name escapes me for the moment, but she was known to duel enemy champions and beat them. And at one point in time in the storyline, a champion of Slaanesh challenged her to a duel, mocking her, and she pretty much stomped him. She just stomped the baby Jesus out of him. I mean, it was horrifying. And then she fashioned this champion into a shield. Now, the shield had horns and it had a face, and the face is very reminiscent of this champion character right here. So that's an interesting callback. I'm not sure if that's related or not, but that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this like, oh, okay, I'm thinking of the time in the world that was when this champion of chaos was defeated and made into a shield. And I'm hoping they make a mention of that in the new Hedonites of Slaanesh book, but we'll see. The other dual option are the Twin Souls, or the Simbaresh. Now, the lore behind these characters, which is available on warhammercommunity.com, the lore behind these characters is basically that there's a human soul and there's a demon soul, and they merge together to create a twin soul. And in doing so, not only is their soul changed, but their face is changed in exchange for power. I gotta tell you, I don't think these twin souls really made out well with that deal, at least in the looks department, because I don't think anyone's gonna ever kiss that face. I don't even think your mom's gonna want to kiss that face, you know? Like, only a face only a mom can love. I don't think a mom can love that face. That is special. Oh, look, a mirror. See? Mirrors. It's the Slaaneshi way. Yeah, there's some leather BDSM stuff going on here. And I think that's very appropriate for Slaanesh. The Hedonites are pleased. Boom. Bliss Barb Archers, or the Bliss Barbs. The Barbaras, as they were. So the Barbaras are... I like them. Actually, there's not a kit here I really don't like. There are elements of some of these kits that I'm kind of iffy on, but overall, the kits themselves are a definite positive. This does not look like it is a dual kit, however. If it is, they're not really talking about it, but I could have swore they were a dual kit at one point, like one of them had spears. And maybe that's still the case, but I'm going off the article here. So if they come up with spears next weekend, we'll know that it's a dual kit, and in which case I think that's a great thing. This looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 models and a stunty. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that dude is, but he has like a brazier and he's kind of like crawling around. Like I said, this is some BDSM stuff. Slaanesh would approve. But yeah, I mean that's nifty. There's definite hero rocks everywhere, but it's not excessive. Hedonites, I'm disappointed. You do not have excessive amount of rocks. Slaanesh is displeased. Just displeased. All joking aside, Bliss Barbs, cool. Yeah, I think this is the great release, guys. We got the Slangor. We have the Exalted Steeds of Slaanesh that are kind of rounding out that release there. Now, the Slangor I'm particularly excited about. Not excessively excited about, but, I'm pleased with them. But to me, I always like synergy between releases, if I will. That's one of the things that defines the Demons of Chaos is whenever they upgraded into 40K, they also upgrade in Age of Sigmar and vice versa because they're available in both systems. Now, Beastmen don't quite have the same synergy, but whenever another faction gets a upgraded Beastman, that means the Beast of Chaos army will also get upgraded. So now we have 2 cult-aligned Beastmen. We have the Sangor ones, and we have the Slangor. Just wearing the Corner Gore and Pestigore, and we got all 4 Chaos Gods. I'm not ignoring the Skaven here. They just traditionally have never had Beasts of Chaos stuff going with them. Unless you're talking about Rat Ogres, but I don't want to gore you with that. Moving along, Exalted Steeds of Slaanesh. This is the dual kit, and I can see already that this is going to be great for conversion material. I mean, that helmet, I am looking at the helmet, I'm almost getting not Thousand Suns. Oh my gosh. I am getting Emperor's Children vibes from it. Can you imagine converting that with maybe even one of the Myrmidesh kits? Between those helmets, the shield, that could be a storm shield right there. These could be power swords. Yeah, conversion material aplenty in these kits, and I'm excited for it. That being said, I wouldn't mind Emperor's Children getting a release sometime soon. I think them and the World Eaters really could use the love. Particularly the Emperor's Children. They always could use more love. Like excessive amounts of it. I'm running this joke into the ground, and I'm just going to keep doing it. But guys, that is the faction rollout for the Slaanesh. The Hedonites of Slaanesh. Quite a mouthful, most of these units, but I think it's a great release. But what do you guys think? Is this something you were excited about? Are you going to run out and make yourself a Hedonites army? I know I will. I'll just put on my list with all the other armies I'm building, and that'll never get done. Warhammer, right, guys? But anyway, leave your comments below. If you like this sort of content, feel free to follow me. If not, feel free to follow me anyway. I mean, it's a button click and it helps me out. If not, go ahead and leave your concerns in the comments if you have ideas for videos you want me to do. I anticipate making these videos at least once a week as time permits, hopefully more as I get better at editing and talking to a camera, because that's actually kind of awkward, folks. I don't know how most of you guys start off doing this, because I'm looking at my viewfinder right here and my screen is right here, but the camera is right here. And I'm not apologizing. I'm learning. I'm sure you guys are fine with that. But if you want to see more of these faction rollout videos, I intend to do one for the Soulblight vampires when they come out, or the Soulblight Grave Lords. These are tongue twisters. I'll get better at the camera. I promise you that. But what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts below. Until then, have yourself a good one. Ooh, pizza.